Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I am Sunny Bancholi, anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings acquired by these industry leaders. We also hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leaders interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. By bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that are proven success formulas for many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions, by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge-sharing community. We have one such corporate stalwart on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Mr. Suryanarayana Murthy, AVS. He is a highly skilled and focused leader with extensive experience in data science, machine learning, and predictive modeling. Currently, he holds the position of Head of Data Science at Tide Platform Tech and Servicing Private Limited, where he is responsible for building and leading a high-performance data science team. He has achieved amazing feats, namely successfully meeting hiring targets and achieving a retention rate of over 90%. He has also formulated enterprise machine learning policies, ensuring consistency and compliance with quality assurance and validation. He has also implemented a model observability solution, enhancing governance and accountability in data science processes. Welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, Mr. Murthy.
Thank you so much, Sunny. It's a pleasure to be on this platform. Thank you so much.
So, Mr. Murthy, to start with, could you let our viewers know in brief about your career journey so far, with important achievements, inspirations, etc.?
Sure, Sunny. I think I'll just go back a little bit and tell you that I've close to about 23 years of experience, and I had the privilege to work in multiple domains in these 23 years, starting with brokerage services, right? So I have my bachelor's in engineering and electrical engineering and master's in technology from computer science from University of Hyderabad. And I was hired through campus placement in the year 2000, and I joined a firm called Wilco International Systems, which is a fully owned subsidiary of ADP as a solution developer. Now, this was my starting days, and since I was probably the first few to be set up in Hyderabad, I was actually sent to New York within 3 months to work with their prestigious client called Goldman Sachs. So I spent 1 year in New York working with Goldman Sachs. Just to briefly tell about what Wilco International Systems and ADP Brokerage Services used to do. They used to actually look at automating the settlement cycle of the trading and settlement of securities. So they had this product called Global Settlement System, which Goldman was trying to customize it for their high net worth individuals as a bookkeeping system. And that's where I had to play a major role in understanding the functional domain of how bookkeeping systems work and how securities market is, like you have corporate actions, dividends, stock splits, etc. So I spent 1 year learning all of that, and then I came back to Hyderabad to set up this team. As gradually I grew up ranks, and probably I spent about 6.5 to 7 years roughly. One of the key things that I have learned in that particular stint was meeting deadlines. Very Goldman is pretty stringent on a few things, and they're meeting deadlines, and then the leaders also contribute. They have to be hands-on. These are all some of the things that I have picked up with my experience at Goldman, right? And then after 6.5 years, Goldman was setting up a shop in Bengaluru. So I decided to move from ADP's brokerage services to ADP's employer services. Now, this is where my data journey started because HCM solutions are hire to retire solutions that help employers hire to retire for employees. So you have HR systems, payroll systems, benefit systems, how do you move data from either old ADP platforms to new ADP platforms, or outside ADP platforms to ADP platforms. So that's where the journey started. So I spent about 9 years in this unit. The last role that I played there was of a group head of implementation, and I was having a direct and indirect span of about 350 people working in two locations, Hyderabad and Pune. And we were servicing the North American large employer market. When I say large employers, the employee base is greater than 1,000. So you can imagine how much of data needs to be migrated, the business intelligence, the reporting, etc., that comes with it. Now, during the fag end of this role, maybe about 3 years into this role as the group head, I realized that I need to do something. And when I was looking at my 360 degrees feedback, that I'm very fond of reading the 360 degrees feedback about self and what the opportunities lie. And one of the things that all of my 360 degrees agreed on, I was very good with numbers. So I'm analytically very good, and fantastic Surya. That's the only point they all agreed. Of course, there were a lot of disagreement in other areas, but this is one point. So then I realized maybe this is an area of opportunity for me. And I took up a part-time advanced management program from Indian School of Business. And this was primarily in the field of data science and business analytics. Now, this was a very revealing moment for me, because I'm going back to school after 15, 16 years. So definitely it means, of course, in between I did my executive management program from IMB and all, but that was 2008. But this was like very rigorous, very rigorous. And then I had a day job at ADP to lead a group, very big group, and meeting the business targets, etc. So this particular program did really well for me. I became the Scholar of Excellence and a gold medalist of that particular esteemed batch of about 100 colleagues from different diverse backgrounds. And I had a future employer in the class who said, Surya, why don't you join us? We're setting up a data science team in Chennai. And this was for the firm Flextronics. It's called Flex now. They were primarily a contract manufacturer, helping producing electronic components from small to very, very big servers and blah, blah, blah. Very, very vast. They source about 1 million active components, and very big supply chain company. And they are primarily focused on as a contract manufacturer. So that's where I started my data science journey with them. And then we built a lot of models on supplier behavior, real-time defect prediction on manufacturing lines, etc., etc. And then we did something on workforce design. We did something on pallet optimization, packaging solutions, etc. 3 years into that role, I wanted to come back to Hyderabad, because Hyderabad has been my hometown. So I took up a role with Development Bank of Singapore. Development Bank of Singapore is well known. It's the best bank in the world for the last 3-4 years. And it's also the safest bank in Southeast Asia. They have their tech center in Hyderabad. So I took up a role as their head of data first program out of Hyderabad. Here, my focus has been on the enterprise data assets of how you reduce time to value and time to experiment on machine learning and AI. That's where I've spent the time. And then 18 months back, I had this opportunity with a UK fintech company called Tide. Tide is a business banking platform helping micro, small, medium enterprises as a global head of data science. So I took up this opportunity, which is primarily, helping building some real good intelligent solutions that help our customers, as well as customer acquisition, and also optimizing, reducing fraud and risk. These kind of areas is what I was looking, and also creating a robust machine learning policy of how we are using machine intelligence for decision making. Throughout my journey, I think I've won a lot of awards of excellence in my ADP's stint, at least 4 to 5 in the 15, 16-year span that I had with them. And coming to my stint with Flex, I think we have done a lot of projects that have close to about 100K or more savings. And then with DBS, we had one project where we had 300K USD savings. And with Tide being a global head, there are a lot of accomplishments from a business value standpoint. But I think the biggest thing, the legacy that I leave, or the legacy that I've established at Tide, would be in establishing a modal observability platform where you want to look at all, you want to observe how high risk models are being used for decision and any drifting that is happening probably to take decisions. Like this ties back to the governance aspect that we talk about, like for decision making, you need to have a governance framework. Similarly, for models also, you need to have a governance framework. And that is what I'm talking about. Thank you. I mean, this is in a nutshell about my journey so far.
Mr. Murthy, thank you for the excellent start to this interview. Really fantastic. Okay, so let's continue our conversation, and we would like to know, as you have a vast professional purview, which of your roles do you enjoy the most?
I think I think for me, I think the learning is what is important, right? So since I worked in, I've done in brokerage services, human capital management solutions, manufacturing, supply chain, banking, financial services, fintech, in fintech, specifically credit, customer experience. I've worked in vast areas. What thrills me, what gets me up and running, is learning a new domain, identifying what problem to solve, how to use data to solve it. Can we solve it with simpler solutions? Those are all some of the things that excites me, right? I think that's one. The second thing is also helping my people to do whatever best they can do. That is the second thing that excites me. That someone wants to do something, someone wants to teach, someone wants to write a paper, help them, accomplish what they want to do, right? Those are all some of the things I really enjoy doing, right? The third piece is also sometimes, especially the field of data science, AI, and the universe of problems is vast. What problem you want to solve, which creates higher impact for you, right? Identifying that opportunity and saying, yeah, this is the problem that we should tackle. Because believe me, in corporates and all, you'll have plenty of problems to solve. You want to solve problems that have high impact. How do you identify those? Probably identifying those and putting a construct around it. You can't solve all problems. I think that's a myth everyone has. AI/ML will solve everything. No, you have to identify which one you want to solve. What is the high impact? What is the cost, benefit cost analysis? And then probably embark on the journey, do a discovery and all. I think setting up all of that and ideating with business people and getting excites me a lot. For me, right? Business problem solving and exploring life, exploring the journey. That's what makes excites me.
Absolutely. So building on that, I would like to ask you, are there any common learnings that you have taken from different roles and applied to different responsibilities?
Oh, yeah. So this is a fantastic question. And I think one of the things is I'll split it into two aspects. One on the people aspect, the other is the business aspect. There are only two dimensions. You have business and you have people. So I'll talk about people. So people from a leadership standpoint is it's very important that you create a common vision, and I call it inspired vision, right? I know the big picture. How I am able to convince that this is also your story. Creating that intersection, the maximum intersection between you and the people that you work with, not only subordinates, but also your peers and others, creating that this is a common goal, this is a common purpose that we all have to achieve, is probably the biggest learning for me. And thanks to my ADP's Senior Management Development Program, they have instilled that, saying that how do you create that particular vision so that everyone is tied to that particular vision. Yes, humko karna hai, we should do it. That's something. The second thing is creating a win-win proposition when you're collaborating with other departments. My win is also your win, right? That's the second piece that probably you need to find. What motivates them, and right, probably share that if you are part of this success, this is what you will also get. Blah blah blah. That's the second piece. The third piece is also about investing in their development. Right, most of them have these aspirations to grow, do much more. How do we create a plan for them to actually achieve in the given environment? I think these three things are the common learnings from a people aspect. Business aspect is really very, very important, and I've learned it the hard way. And I think one thing is, for business, KPIs are the most important. Do you have a KPI that you are chasing? What is the key performance indicator? You have a solution. which key performance indicator that actually chases, right? And then propose a plethora, a spectrum of solutions which will target it. And then look at, whether it is actually, impacting the final KPI. Especially it's important with data and all, but even if it's not even data, you're building something new, greenfield also having KPI, like I want to achieve so much of production targets or so much of customer acquisition. Having that goal in mind is very essential. That's probably one. Most often, people are they're like hunting in a dark room. Setting that particular goal that you want to hit, that particular KPI, is probably the first thing, right? Whatever it may be. It could be very simple. It could be that creates, again, it goes back to the common vision that I was talking about. And then work through different solutions and, going forward, what helps? Do we need an external vendor? Can we do it in-house? Those are all the regular stuff that goes into the whole discussion, right?
Rightly said, Mr. Murthy. Okay, so let's move ahead, and we would like to know how and when did you develop an interest in ESG and corporate governance?
Oh, I didn't know until a few years what ESG was, honestly. So I'll tell you how ESG got revealed to me. And thanks to DBS, during my stint at DBS, they had a hackathon. The hackathon was very simple. The hackathon was talking about it's like a simulation. Say you have $1 million, where would you invest and what high return you will get, right? So there are a list of, NASDAQ companies. You can put portfolio, and over the end, how much stock price they go, they calculate how much return you receive. That was only high return. But what they did was they added what is that high return plus ESG.
Okay.
So then I thought, what is this ESG? What is this ESG? Then I started looking at it. Now, the E stands for environment, which talks about greenhouse emissions, carbon emissions, footprint, how much water you're consuming, blah, 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 all of that, right? Then I looked at social. Social is about well-being. Are you following labor laws? How are you treating your employees, stakeholders, all that. Then comes the governance aspect of, how disclosures are you doing it transparent? Are you following the local laws? Are you conducting yourself in the right aspect? Are your decisions the right ones? I got all of that view. Then I realized that, then it is not about getting high returns. It is about following all of these. This is the hygiene, right? So that's when I realized, okay, then ESG, people are all stakeholders and all shareholders are all interested in how are you contributing to the sustainability piece, right? If you consume all resources now, tomorrow, what is going to happen? Right? I think that probably caught my interest. And not that I was doing a full-fledged, but that's the first piece where I started. Then I started looking at stuff, of what this ESG, and then a year back, someone introduced Directors Institute and all, and then that's how I realized, and then I said, okay, let me also learn, because I was not so familiar with the law, right? So that probably created kind of an interest, and then unconsciously I was reading more about in Economic Times here, but I was not following because I didn't have the whole picture. But slowly then I realized it's also time to give back to the community, right? It's not that always, it's like give and take. You've been taking a lot from the community. Now it's time to also contribute back to them, whatever little you can, right? So that's the other motivation that led to the journey that I'm continuing to have.
All right. So before we move on to the next question, I would like to know who won that hackathon?
Oh, it's an individual contribution. I didn't win.
Okay.
Because I didn't actively participate, but my team, there were a few players, but they didn't win. Generally, it's a very tough competition because people really go look at fundamental analysis and all, and then they do real stuff. Someone from Singapore won that year, but that's the journey of ESG. That's where I got introduced to ESG, and unconsciously I was reading about it. That's a
All
win
right,
for me.
so let's move
That's
ahead.
a win for me.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously that's a win. Okay, so before we continue our discussion on corporate governance, I would like to know, as an ESG and corporate governance expert, what values do you bring to the table?
Oh, this is since I'm a data scientist, I've been a data guy. So I always love to talk in equations. So I'll tell you my equation I denote it as excellence equals competence plus empathy, right? And then there are two catalysts that I'll talk about, and then I'll summarize the whole thing. For me, the first element in the right hand side, which is competence, I believe competence is how our ability to do something, right? Do we have the knowledge, the domain knowledge, the technical knowledge, and all of it, right? That what is competence. And it's not just about self. That is not only about Surya, but Surya's interaction with the first degree of people that he has, right? Are we collectively improving our competence? It's not just about it's not about just me, but also the first degree. That's where the one team or the collaboration comes. That's what I define as competence. But competence is not the thing that takes you. It is the empathy that takes you eventually. Because what you look at any solution or anything that you are doing, you have to look at yourself in the shoes of your stakeholders or your customers or whatever the case. And that is the value that empathy gives you. Now you know how to do it. You also know the purpose why you are doing it. When you combine these two, excellence is going to follow, because you will find some or the other way how to do it. How you will innovate there, right? So that's what creates. But there are two catalysts in this equation. One catalyst is integrity. Integrity is very important. Do the right thing when no one is looking, right? So that's probably the important thing. The second thing that I have realized is the more I know, I also realize the more I do. Being humble and humility is the other catalyst. These two catalysts actually frame that particular equation. It's very important because these two are non-negotiable for me. Now, coming to what value I bring in, I think for the ESG expert or being an independent director, it is important that you have high integrity. It's important that you speak up and say that we have to do the right thing always, right? Even if it hurts us, right? Or find a way doing the right thing. How do we mitigate the other things? So that's the other piece of looking at it. The second thing is also about competence. My competence on data solutioning, looking now with data privacy, data governance. That's the other piece of the competence that I can bring on the table, both looking at technical solution as well as the business side. How do we find common ground to deliver good business value to the corporate is probably the second competence value that I bring onto the table. The third one is, of course, empathy also adds, because you also have to look at what is the viewpoint of the other side, right? Collective or collaboration, that kind of atmosphere is also essential, is what I think. So I think these three things is what I bring to the table.
Amazing. Amazing. So, Mr. Murthy, now my next question is on technology, since it's an integral part of our lives now. So, as someone working closely with technology, what are some of the most remarkable changes you have seen in your field with changes in technology? And what changes do you expect to see with the advent of IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, data, Web 3.0, etc.?
Sure. I think this is a very interesting question. What I will do is I'll talk about AI, ML, and big data. That's been my play of the field for close to a decade now. Now, big data is more about your ability, because of IoT and others, you collect a lot of data. The volume of data that hits you is pretty huge among us. Then the velocity with which it comes is pretty huge. The variety that gets you also is pretty huge. Now, the AI and ML, I'll also add another technology called cloud. If you combine all of these three together, what it has developed is it's able to harness the value of the data that comes to at speed. So your decisioning becomes pretty fast, quicker, and you get more accurate because of these technologies. You're trying to hit accuracy, you're also trying to hit speed. Accuracy is effectiveness, speed is efficiency. So you're trying to hit both efficiency and effectiveness. Let me give you a couple of examples. One example is customer grievances, customer experience. Customer experiences, customer have issues, right? In the erstwhile, what used to happen, some agent used to look at it, resolve, look at through systems. Now today, with the advent of AI, ML, and also generative AI, the system can respond, or the system can respond to the agent to say that, okay, this is this is the likely response, or this is the likely resolution for the member, right? So it cuts down, it actually enhances customer experience, because earlier it used to take 2 days to solve my issue. Now it takes probably half a day, because things have become much faster for you to harness. If you take an example in manufacturing, real-time defect prediction and all, it takes 5 minutes to move a printed circuit board from start to end. Your ability to look at somewhere in the middle and say this is a probable defective piece will save material costs for you, and that should happen within, say, about 2 seconds or 3 seconds, right? So that the efficiency is important. I collect all of the data and then say that, oh, this may be defective. So the lineman who is there on the particular line, the line personnel can pull the board out, so that you save and then figure out what it is. So those are all some of the. It's revolutionizing. It's about speed, because it's also about how good you are at decision making using machine intelligence. Speed, of course, blockchain and all has other connotations, like security, safety. I've not worked much, so I'll not talk about it. I'm just talking at a very high level. IoT is more a means of collecting data, which will be helpful to feed your AI, ML, and cloud to actually harness value from it and take the right in preventive maintenance or corrective maintenance, etc. Hope this helps.
Absolutely mind-blowing. So insightful of you, Mr. Murthy. All right. So the last question of the session. We are building a community of industry magnates. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. So what are your thoughts about these initiatives taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the whole team of WDC?
Mr. Jishan and Mr. Heval and the whole team of WTC has done a commendable job. I have no doubt in my mind. I think I'll tell you a few personal experiences that I had. That will probably summarize. I come from a non-law background. You went through my entire history in the previous 10-15 minutes. I never understood law, right? The kind of curriculum that they have put up is so easy to understand and grasp. I'll tell you, today when I read Economic Times, I understand to which section in Companies Act they're referring. That's the kind of, and connect, why are we doing it? What's the background? And then what section, like 135 section for corporate social responsibility. When I read something on, I understand why are we doing it? What's the purpose, etc., etc. Although I have yet to start my journey on the ESG modules, but that's the curriculum and the pedagogy is been par excellent, because it helps someone coming from a non-law background to grasp things. In fact, that has helped me to clear the self-proficiency test. So all kudos to WDC, Mr. Jishan and Mr. Heval to help me out, because I wasn't sure. I was biting my nails. Will I be able to clear it and all? Right? I mean, I could have done better, but I know where I went wrong. That self-reflection also I have, which is pretty good. The second piece is on the live sessions and creating that collective group of diverse backgrounds attending the collective live sessions of I forgot the gentleman's name, Jayamurthy sir. I think that's also pretty nice, because what's happening is I only look at it from my lens. But when people ask other questions, it gives me oh, okay, we can also think it like this. Oh, okay. So that kind of diverse opinion and how, because for me, I look at it from a technology standpoint, right? People from other domains, chartered accountants and others will look at it from a different angle. Law will look at it from a different angle. Creating that live sessions, it's a thrill. It's so much of revealing information for me that I have blocked my entire Saturdays to 1 hour forward, 1 hour backwards to actually summarize what I have learned, and we are done with 2 sessions now. That has been fantastic. That platform is really pretty good, and I think some of these initiatives where you're trying to understand what background, trying to brand our profiles with prospective corporates to hire us as their independent directors is also commendable and very appreciated. So thank you so much for asking this question.
Amazing. It was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will inspire future leaders. Thank you, Mr. Murthy, for joining us today. Wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute has unquestionably expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds.
Correct. Yes. Thank you so much, Sunny, for
Thank
patiently
you.
listening to me and asking some really great questions. And all the
Thank you
best to
so
you
much,
too.
Mr. Murthy. Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice day.